I've got thousands of chili plants and I need to get these potted up. So in today's video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly when to pot up chili plants and how to pot them up for best results. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So you've seen me sow my chili plants from seed and you watch them grow and you watch me make this DIY grow room, and it's time to put those chilies up now. So here are my chili plants. They're doing absolutely beautiful. There's loads of them. They're growing on really, really well. So there we go. But some of them have grown really nice, really big, and they're getting a little bit too big for the pots that they're in. So some of them we're going to start stripping out. We're going to start separating them and potting them up into their own individual pots. So guys, can you come and help me take these plants? Go on, you take. Go on then. We're at a point where they all need watering. So just before we water them, we're going to start separating them out and getting them potted on into their own pots, and then we're going to give them a good water and let them grow on a little bit. So we've got quite a few different varieties that we've grown, and all of these need potting up now. So I've already started potting up some plants. Now that's what I've done here. So these are some Carolina Reaper plants, and I've got an old muffin tray, so it's flimsy plastic that would have been thrown away. So rather than throwing it away, we've used it to pot our plants up. So we've got some Carolina Reapers growing up here. They'll grow in here for a good while before I pot them up into their own individual 6-inch pots, and then they can grow on there before they go into the final place. But today they're in a good spot as they are for that. There's quite a few of the chilies that are growing, and they're growing a little bit too compact, so they're starting to squash each other, and it's time to get these potted up into their own individual pots. Can you stack them up into piles into the same size pots?
Okay.
So you stack them up, take them out there, and just make me a nice stack of piles for the same size pot, okay? Nice one, thank you. So these are some Naga plants, and they're about 1.5 inches tall. They've put on their first set of true leaves, they're putting on the second set of true leaves. Now it's perfect time to get these potted up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just, with this one, because I'm going to deal with the whole pot, I'm just going to take the whole plant out, okay, the whole pot out. And you can see they've got lovely roots. So really nice roots all the way down to the bottom. And these are the ones that I'm going to separate out first. So I'm just going to gently apply some pressure to the root ball, and that should just break apart. There we go. And these are a red Naga variety, and these are the ones that featured a lot in our Naga pickles. So I must have grown just of these plants probably about 20 or 30 of these plants on their own. So I'm being a little bit, I might look like I'm being a little bit rough, but it's fine. You rather break the compost rather than break the roots. If you just pull them, you can just end up ripping the roots. So for these ones, because they are quite a big plant, this is ready for its own pot. So these are sort of 2-inch pots, and that's what I'm going to use for these Nagas. So chilies will tolerate being planted a little bit deeper. So I'm not going to plant at the soil level, so the plants are not going to be there. It's going to be quite low down. So in a pot like that, 1/2 inch of compost. I've done a video on Patreon on how I make my compost mixes and what I make for my different compost mixes. So this is the one that I use for potting up. So once I've got my chili in the bottom like that, then I'll just gently fill around. Slightly deeper than what it was. Now that compost will settle. Okay. Now once it settles and once the plant grows maybe that sort of size, so at the moment it's about 1.5 inches. Once it gets to about 3 inches, then I'll add some more. That's why I've left a lot of space at the top of this. Then I'll fill it all the way up to the top. So I won't disturb that plant for at least a good month or so as I'm potting up. So if you look down the stem of this chili plant, this green bit, now if you buried it all the way up to there, the greener it gets, the more tender it is, and that can rot quite easily. So they don't mind being buried deep, but if you bury too deep in one go, before the stem's got woody, that can rot. So what I tend to do is I bury up to there, and then as the plant grows, then I fill up to there. Khali, can I have some pots, please?
Okay.
Thank you, sweetheart. And I'm going to repeat the same thing over and over again for all of these pots. And I mean, the reason that we grow so many is we grow a lot for ourselves. So last year I grew about 100 plants. This year I'm aiming for maybe double that. Since our Naga pickle business went off so well, we're going to go for even more this time round. So also, if you do want to buy our pickles, drop me an email and I can get some posted out to you. So it might look like I'm only half filling pots, but that's the reason why, because as the plant grows up and as the plant gets settled into that and that stem becomes a little bit more woody, then I'm going to fill up even more. So copy that label, okay? Home red Naga, yeah. Because these are seeds we saved ourselves. I don't want any labelling mistakes this time, because we are going to sell some of these plants, and because we're going to sell them, I want you guys to not happen what happened last time, where I ended up having to sell chilies as potluck chilies. So I didn't know what they were, and you didn't know what you were getting either. So some we were doing all right with, but some they were just potluck. If anyone did get those potluck chilies, let me know how they got on. So there we go, there's our home chilies, the ones that we saved seeds ourselves. So these are a Naga variety. So that's what, 11 plants, 12, 13, 14, 15 plants there, and there's another pot full coming. So the next one that we're going to go for are these Hungarian Hot Wax. So these are getting very cramped in this pot, and it's time to get these out and get these potted up actually. So these ones go for next. So there we go. We've got loads, absolutely beautiful roots. So these are a really nice variety for quite a few different tastes. You can have these when they're still quite green, just turning yellow, and they're still very mild. They've got a slight capsaicin flavour, so they've got a little bit of chili heat in them. Or you can get them when they're orange, turning red, and then they've got much more of a kick to them, and they are really nice actually. These are very tasty. Yeah, they're perfect for a salad, I think. Absolutely perfect for a salad, because sometimes we put green chilies in a salad, and when you get to the green chili, bite on a green chili, it's a little bit too hot, but these are absolutely perfect for adding to a salad. You just get that little bit of flavour, tiny little bit of heat, and yeah, very nice. So you can see the roots on these, absolutely lovely. And with these ones, because these don't grow into absolutely huge plants like the Nagas, so these probably get to about 2 foot tall. Yeah, these are quite fast growers. They grow a lot. They don't need as much heat as the super hot type peppers. So these are much better for that. So the way I'm going to pot these up is I'm just going to pot them up into a seed tray rather than give them individual pots. A greenhouse isn't quite warm enough for these young tender chilies to go out, so that's why I'm working in my living room. And once I've got my composting like that, that whole plant is just going to go in, and then I'm going to top it off with compost again. Okay, so just like that, I'm going to top them off. So that's what I had this spoon in my hand for from the beginning of the video. See, I use a lot of these kitchen utensils. I might sometimes get into trouble for them, but yeah, this hobby takes precedence, I think. those ones that I've separated, you keep passing those down. Don't tell your mum we've got worms in the house. So you might be thinking that I could have just easily planted one chili plant, you know, put one seed per seed tray. And there's a couple of reasons that I don't do that. First of all, I mean, because we're very limited on space, to start things off, we need to, we've got a couple of propagators, but we need to be really efficient about the way we use those propagators. So if I'd have stuck these on a whole seed tray onto the propagator, what would have happened? I would have taken up the whole space, and I would have only been able to grow that variety or that seed, those plants. But if I grow them in a pot, then I can grow loads in one go, and I can grow all my varieties, and I'm using one set of heat, one session of heat propagating mat, again because we're limited on space. Now if I'd have started these off on individual seed trays like this, and I put 2 or 3 seeds per cell and they never germinated, then I've just taken up a load of space. I've used a load of compost that I didn't need to use. But with this method, I can grow a load of plants in one go, and now I've got loads of plants to pot on and pot up and get going. What I'm doing is I'm going for the bigger plants. So I'm got the plants that are looking cramped, the plants that are looking big, they're the ones that are going straight away. Now this is an ideal pot. Again, these are green chilies. Yeah, so these are green chilies, the ones that we've grown at home. You've seen these variety, they've done really well. They're grown into nice long plants again. And I'm going to do the same thing with that I did with these Hungarian Hot Wax. This plant here, this is a beautiful plant, Jolokia. So these are ghost peppers. Absolutely beautiful root ball, look at that, beautiful plants. But they're way too compact in there. And these are a plant that I'm really looking forward to growing this year. I didn't grow these last year, and I'm really excited about these ones. Yes. So spicy? These are very spicy. Khadija, can you take them and put your labels on them? Okay. Go on. Do you want to get out of there first? Here, give it to me. Get out of there first. I don't want this all over the living room floor. Your mum will kill me then. Go on. Put your labels on them. Okay? Okay? Nice work, thank you. All right, so same procedure with these ones. If you have a look at these ones, they've got a really thick stem actually. So these ones are ones that I'm really excited about. They've got the same flavour as a Naga, but they're hotter, a lot hotter than Naga. I had some of these this year, and they've got a really nice fragrance to them. If you know me, I really love Naga, and there's nothing that can rival Naga with the flavour. The heat's not as hot as some of the Carolina Reapers and some of those extreme things, but there's some really good heat there. If these can match the flavour and the fragrance of a Naga, then we're on to something special. So we'll see. We're doing good. We're making good progress. It's taking time, but we're making good progress. So now with these yellow habaneros, there's a couple of weeds growing in my compost. So let's get rid of those weeds. But apart from that, I'm not going to do anything with these. I mean, the way I planted these with enough space in mind, I think that's okay. I'm going to wait for a while before they get a lot bigger than that, before I pot them up. They're still small, compact plants. So you might get the professional guys with huge commercial greenhouses talking about you can pot these up and separate them out. We work with the space that we've got, and that's why this is a lot more practical method of working than you'll get from those guys. I'm going to carry on doing that. So I've got my green chilies. That's one that's getting done. They're a big plant. They're quite a big plant in size. Agi lemons. These were lovely. They taste a bit funky, but they're very hot. We'll split these out and we'll plant these into the smaller pots because they don't get into massive plants as well. What else have we got here? So spaghetti chilies, they'll get potted up. Ian, we'll have that competition this year definitely. Dorset Naga, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So we've got some Dorset Naga here, some more Dorset Naga here. So if anyone wants Dorset Naga, drop me an email. I'll leave my email in the link at the bottom. More Agi lemon here, and they're a good plant to get out. So we'll continue potting. I'm going to continue potting these up, and once I've got to potting them up, I'll show you what it looks. Show you what this place looks like. Oh yes, there's my Trinidad Moruga, absolutely beautiful. So we've got Jolokia, Nagas, Carolina Reapers, all sorts. Here's a absolutely gorgeous plant. Look at them, beautiful big leaves, nice crown. Rather than the pot that I'd normally pot them up into, they can go into the next size up because they're just such a beautiful plant. So that's about 100 plants potted up. Now I've got some really young plants here as well. Some people might recommend pricking plants out at that sort of size. I don't like to do that. I prefer to wait till they're a bit bigger, a bit more substantial to handle. And plus we don't have the space, we don't have the capacity to stick them under grow lights well, if we're pricking out plants that size. So we wait for them to grow quite a bit bigger before we do anything like that. So now that all of these plants have had their roots disturbed quite a bit, I mean, ordinarily chilies don't like a lot of water, but what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to give them a good soak. I want to get all that soil down to the bottom. I want to get that soil settled in around the roots. So I'm going to give them a good soak, and I'm actually going to leave them sitting in this water overnight. So just like that, every single one is going to get a really good soak. You can see the really stout plants that have had hardly any root disturbance, just staying as they are. And these hot wax, they've had quite a lot of root disturbance. They need that soil contact around the roots quickly. They're starting to wilt a little bit, but once they've had the water and the soil settled in around the roots, they'll quickly come back to life. It's getting a little bit late for us, so the ones that we haven't separated out, we'll do those later. We'll do those tomorrow and over the rest of the weekend. What I'll do as a follow-up to this is I'll do a video about where I keep these, and where I'll be keeping these till about May time. They'll be kept in my house, so they're nice and warm, but some of these plants that are in the individual plots won't be under grow lights anymore. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe for regular updates. Make sure you leave a comment and let me know what you're thinking. We also make videos on Patreon, so if you'd like to support our channel, you could always become a patron and help us out that way. So I'll leave it there for this one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Go and get the jug and fill it up.